once landed, whipped, chained, and branded. 300 years of free labor. We ain't asking for no favor. Time to pay. Right now, time for reparations. Time for reparations. Right now, time for reparations. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now, reparations. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now, reparations. Reparations for reconstruction. Red summers of destruction. Segregation, Jim Crow corruption. Right now, time for reparations. Reparations for the Constitution. Said we were 3/5 human. Reparations are overdue. 40 acres and some new. Time for reparations. Time for reparations. Time for reparations. Time for reparations. Right now, time for reparations. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now, reparations. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now, reparations. Time for reparations. Time for reparations. Right now, time for reparations. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now, reparations. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now,
It's time for reparations. It's time for reparations now. As we know that tune, Time for Reparations, is done by the Sounds of Blackness. And for those who tuned on early, we were treated to HR 40 by the, I had it right there, okay, it's in the chat. It's within the agenda. But Reverend Mark Thompson wrote the words, and I think it was called, I forgot what it's called, but the name. So again, welcome to the Reparations Movement monthly meetup, not a meeting, not a strategy session, but simply a place where we can connect, put some names to some faces, where we can educate, where we can inform, where we can collaborate, and where we can share information, questions and answers and the like. I'm Nikichi Taifa. For those who don't know, please put your name, your organization, your state in the chat. And if this is your first Reparation Movement monthly meetup, put a new by your name. Is that all right? Okay. So we always start off our RMMM with principles of unity. So if we can go on and get that up on the screen. And while we are getting that on the screen, we only rule we have for Reparations Movement monthly meetup is really engaged in this principles of unity, principles of engagement. And number one, respect each other in language and action. Listen with an open mind. Criticize the problem, not the person. Ask to clear up unclarity. Assume the best intent of others. And what's the last one? Contribute. Contribute out of love. That's the one I like the best. Contribute out of love. So the agenda is in the chat, so I'm not going to kind of go over that right now. But we also start off our Reparation Movement monthly meetup with acknowledgement of our reparations ancestors. And Kabibi, our project manager for Reparation Education Project, if you can just go on and share with us with respect to our acknowledgement of reparation ancestors. And I'm going to spotlight you. There you go.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you very much for this opportunity, Nikichi. We know that history is our greatest teacher. It allows us to look back and see the audacity and the determination of our ancestors. And so the first we must acknowledge are the millions of Africans that were lost during the Middle Passage, the millions of Africans who, after making it to these shores, endured slavery for hundreds of years, those who, at the end of enslavement, who had the determination and the audacity to speak for what should have been rightfully ours. When we left the enslavement, we should have received some sort of compensation. So we were not given that. And so we first and foremost acknowledge Callie House and Isaiah Dickerson, because they stood up and took that issue up and galvanized hundreds of thousands of African people for this effort. We move forward and see the baton passing again, and we see the likes of Marcus Garvey, who spoke out for repatriation and unified millions of African descendants in the United States and throughout the world. And so we pay honor to him for having the capacity to step out and speak on our behalf and organize us so that we could move forward and be a self-determining people. We acknowledge Queen Mother Audley Moore because she received that baton from her association with the Universal Negro Improvement Association under Marcus Garvey. And she spoke out about, again, what was due us because of the injustices that we had endured from the time that we entered these shores. And so we pay homage to Queen Mother Audley Moore so that she too can energize us as we move forward. Movements are about passing the baton. And so we move forward to acknowledging Dr. Imari Obadele for once again stepping out and not only founding the Republic of New Africa, but also playing a pivotal role in the founding of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. So we acknowledge Dr. Obadele. We acknowledge Queen Mother Dorothy Benton Lewis for the work that she did for Nkobo. We acknowledge Baba Kalanje Olusegun. We acknowledge Mama Nia Kaumba. We acknowledge the work that they did moving us forward. We acknowledge Reparations Ray, and we acknowledge Congressman John Conyers for stepping out and showing us the way that we thought would be the way by introducing HR 40. And we continue to carry that banner as we move forward presently, because we know that despite all of the work that's being done now on state and city levels, the ultimate must be reparations from the federal government. And so we acknowledge all those people who came before us. We continue to move forward because now all of us that are on this call who have been on the battlefield for a while for reparations, we are now continuing to work, but also to pass the baton to those who are coming behind us, knowing full well that bringing in new generations cause a level of friction, but we also know that we must bring in the next generation, because this is not a fight that's going to be won overnight. And so we must have those who are coming behind us. History, once again, is our best teacher. It allows us to acknowledge the accomplishments of those who have come before us. It allows us to acknowledge the trends that we see going through all of those generations. And it allows us to envision a future, because as we see those trends, We know that we don't necessarily have to step in the same pitfalls. We know that we can learn from the work of all of those that we have called here this evening so that we can continue to move forward. Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Oh, thank you so very much for that, Kabibi. And I can feel the presence of the ancestors here. So thank you for that. At this point, I hope everyone has had the opportunity to attempt to fill out the reparation trivia fun quiz, which should be on your screen. Usually we have 10 questions. I decided to limit it only to 3 questions at this time. And these 3 questions deal with current things that are happening right now in the reparations movement. So I'm going to try to pull it up again. It's there if you see it on your screen. Okay, the first question is, what global holiday?
I can't see it on the screen.
Okay, if you're on your cell phone, I'm not quite sure if you see it. If you, first of all, raise your hand if you see it. I don't see any hands. You just raise your real hand. Forget about that other hand.
No, it's not up.
Okay.
You got to share the screen.
No, it's not that. It's a poll that's part of Zoom. Did you see it when you came on board and did you fill it out?
Yes.
I saw it,
Yes.
yeah, when I came on. Mhm.
Okay. Maybe I think I need to do this. Boom. You know, this is like only the 5th or 6th. We started in September. I've been doing this every month. I'm not quite sure why I haven't gotten the handle of it yet. Do you see it now?
It's
Yeah,
up.
number
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Not number, okay.
Yeah, number
No.
1 should be there. Okay. So, well, let me just go on. And whether you see it or whether you don't, it's just 3 questions. So we're going to read them right now.
Okay.
Thank you. What global holiday, and I'm stressing global, is celebrated on March the 25th? According to we have 3 choices. Reparations Awareness Day, Global Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. 36% of those who answered the question chose Reparations Awareness Day. 16% chose Global Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and 48% chose International Day of Remembrance for the Victims of Slavery and the and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Those 48% were absolutely correct. Those who chose Reparations Awareness Day, good try, because actually Reparations Awareness Day is celebrated on February the 25th, and it's really a U.S., I guess, African descendant recognition or celebration. Global Day for Truth and Reconciliation. I made that up. I don't know if there's one or not. I just made it up and put it out there. But yes, on March the 28th, and I'm going to put it in the chat. There it is right now. Is the designation for the International Day of Remembrance for the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. I put in the chat a little article about it because many of us don't know about that. And that was just happened on Saturday. So our little fun quiz is like informational and educational, as well as just, trying to jig up our memory. Now, of course, it just dawned on me today also that we have Google. And in the amount of time that you first fill out the quiz and when we go through the answers, I'm sure some folk probably went to Google. But anyway, it's all good. Let's go to number 2. And before we do, I just want to pull up something that I have in the chat in just 1 second. And here it is. Wait a minute. Okay, well, there it is. Copy. And okay, so Randall Robinson recently passed. Now, if you're younger than 50 years old, you might not have ever heard of his name. So this is going to be just try to choose the right answer. Nobody should have picked the first one, but I love you if you did. Randall Robinson recently passed. He was the author of what book about reparations? Single choice. 4% said reparations on fire. How and why it's spreading across America. That wasn't Randall Robinson. That's my book, y'all. Shameless plug there. So that's not correct. Should America pay? Actually, that was a book by Ray Wimbush, and that was not Randall Robinson's book, but his book was in fact called The Debt, What America Owes to Blacks. And I'm putting in the chat a little article I wrote about Randall Robinson. He was a founder of an organization back in the 80s called Trans-Africa. It really was the most prolific anti-apartheid organization in the US. And he was the author of The Debt, What America owes. He, a lot of people don't know about him because he left the United States and went to live in St. Kitts. But his writing of this book and promulgation of these issues dealing with reparations really helped to serve to move this issue into the mainstream. 14 years before Ta-Nehisi Coates, the case for reparations in the Atlantic, 20 years before the murder of George Floyd, at a time when Nkobo was mobilizing the grassroots, he was succeeding in bringing it more so into the mainstream. So his name was Randall Robinson. He's a recent ancestor. And for those who got that answer, oh, shoot, I didn't even look at that. 96% of folk got that answer, but that was a quick Google too. But again, this is information and education. All right, number 3, y'all. We're talking about current events right now. We're talking about history in the making. What did the San Francisco Board of Supervisors express support for? And we're talking about current issues right now. Number 1, 40 acres and a mule for each eligible Black adult in San Francisco. Well, 8% said that. Okay. Number 2, what did the San Francisco Board of Supervisors express support for? $5 million, a formal apology, plus 2 Lexuses for each eligible Black adult. Lord, y'all, 32% chose that. Let's look at number 3. There are only 3 choices, so it's going to be one of them. More than 100 proposals, including elimination of personal debt, tax burdens, guaranteed income of $97,000 for 250 years, homes for $1, and $5 million per eligible Black adult. And 60% did that, and that was absolutely correct. Again, we're talking about history in the making. That was recommendations that was made before the San Francisco Board of Supervisors that they actually, my understanding is, enthusiastically express support for it. So again, this is information and education and share results. I'm not quite sure what I'm sharing right now, but just pick up the news. And one of the reasons why I wanted to put that in there, because the media seems to just lock its jaws on one of the over 100 proposals that was part of those recommendations, and that was the $5 million. And they've gone, excuse my language, I'm going to say it anyway. I don't know if that's part of my principles of unity, but they've gone apeshit over it, yeah. So, okay, that was our reparation, trivia fun quiz. And now we're going to have a Reparations 101 public education briefing, and it is a PowerPoint. And what I want you to do as the engineer is pulling that up is put in the chat after you watch it or while you're watching it, before you're watching it, whether it makes sense to, what's that noise? Okay, if someone can just mute whatever, I hope we're not being targeted here. Engineer, is that you? Okay, so we want to do this one-on-one at each of these briefings, not during the briefing like we're doing right now, but either at the beginning or at the end. By beginning, I mean people come on early or people stay later. It's 9 minutes. And I want to know from you in the chat, what do you think makes more sense? For anyone who wants to watch it, like any new person or anything like that, would the recommendation be that they come 10 minutes or 9 minutes early or stay afterwards 9 minutes? That's what I want you to put on the chat. Okay, we can go on and let it roll. Welcome to Reparations 101 Political Education Briefing, brought to you by the Reparation Education Project
and Parable of the Sower Intentional Community Cooperative. So, Mama Nachiki, just what is reparations?
Reparations are forms of redress provided to those who have suffered human rights abuses or other forms of widespread systemic injustices, or to their descendants, usually in the aftermath of war, enslavement, or other forms of gross injustice.
What other elements of reparations does reparations include?
The formal acknowledgement of historic wrong in an official, unfettered apology. The recognition that the injury has continued past the enslavement era and still manifests today.
Mhm.
Justice. Now you tell us some of the other elements of reparations.
The commitment to redress by culpable parties, including the federal government, which sanctioned the enslavement and subsequent segregation, and by the state and local governments, industries and corporate entities, academic and religious institutions, private estates, and other culpable entities, all of which enjoyed the unjust enrichment.
Yes, all of which enjoy unjust enrichment. And reparations include the actual redress in whatever form or forms are agreed upon.
They stole us, they sold us, they owe us.
Yes, indeed. And just as moreover, what are the 5 internationally accepted principles for reparations?
Number 1, cessation, guarantees of non-repetition. 2, restitution. 3, compensation. 3, satisfaction. And 5, rehabilitation. Mama Nkishi, as an elder, tell us a little bit about the history of reparations movement in the United States.
Yes, well, 2 of the first formal records of petitions for reparations that were pursued and won came from formerly enslaved Black women, Belinda Sutton Royal and Henrietta Wood, who successfully sued their former enslavers' estates, Belinda in Massachusetts and Henrietta in Kentucky. At the end of the Civil War, newly freed Black leaders worked very closely with General Sherman in fashioning the concept of 40 acres, which he incorporated in his special field order number 15, only to have the reparations provision stripped by President Andrew Johnson. In 1898, Callie House and Isaiah Dickinson spearheaded the first mass-based reparations movement in the United States, the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief Bounty and Pension Association, whose mission was to organize mutual aid for its members and to pass federal pension legislation that would compensate formerly enslaved persons. Callie House was wrongfully convicted and imprisoned for her grassroots organizing work. On the heels of House's movement was Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association during the early part of the 20th century, which also galvanized thousands of supporters. A Garvey follower, born in 1898 in Louisiana and later to be known as Queen Mother Audley Moore, championed the cause of reparations throughout the 20th century, perhaps being the most vocal Black nationalist and Pan-Africanist advocate for reparations during the 1950s and 60s. She was active in every major reparations movement until she became an ancestor in 1996 at the age of 97.
Mm.
I have heard that Queen Mother Moore inspired people in both the civil rights and Black Power movements, including Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, James Foreman, and the Black Panther Party, the Republic of New Africa, and even more.
And it was these movements that inspired the Japanese Americans to unify their efforts, resulting in the 1988 passage of the Civil Liberties Act, which granted them reparations for their unjust incarceration during World War II.
So, Mama Nakichi, what comes next?
Well, we had the 1987 establishment of NCOBRA, the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, who worked closely with Congressman John Conyers in formulating H.R. 40, the Federal Reparations Study Bill first introduced in 1988 and continues today under the leadership of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. In 2014, we saw the publication of Ta-Nehisi Coates' article in the Atlantic magazine, The Case for Reparations, which galvanized a whole new generation to the issue of reparations. And in 2015, we saw the formation of NARC, the National African American Reparations Commission, comprised of professionals, and we saw the formation of the Reparations Education Project, a new organization with historic roots in the modern era of reparations activism. Senator Cory Booker introduced a Senate companion bill to H.R. 40 in the Senate. Land stolen from Bruce's Beach in California is returned to the descendants and reparations paid. It is revealed that Georgetown University stands today because of the enslaved peoples that were sold to keep the school financially stable. The city of Evanston, Illinois, used a reparations model to rectify housing redlining discrimination. The state of California established the first statewide reparations task force and held historic hearings.
And guess what's more? We have corporations such as Amalgamated Bank coming on board, and even Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream has issued a call for other corporations to support reparations.
Justice, bring the history down to today and tell us what happened in 2020 and its aftermath.
We saw the backlash from the Trump era, black books being banned. We saw the murder of George Floyd. There were demonstrations everywhere. 2020 candidates for the Democratic presidential nominations were vocal on the issues of reparations. We saw a whole slew of new organizations dedicated to reparations emerge, as well as interest from funders.
Reparations stakeholders include Black-led organizations,
Descendant advocacy groups,
allied organizations.
faith-based groups,
It's a global movement as well.
interest from funders,
Academics and lawyers.
and government and federal and state and local.
Justice, just what do you and your friends at Got Reparations and Parable the Sower intentional community feel when you hear the word reparations?
Inspired, connected, energized, grateful, fire, hope, comforted, fellowship, encouraged, hopeful, faithful, enraged, black-tastic. Mama Nakichi, when you hear the word reparations, what do you reflect on?
Liberation, redemption, give it back, redistribute, recompensate, humble, rebuild, solidarity, convergence, culture, empower, respect, amplify, progress, repair, leverage, dilemma, reimagine, unrestricted, limitless, decolonize, promising.
250 years of slavery, 90 years of Jim Crow, 60 years of separate but equal, 35 years of state-sanctioned redlining, until we reckon with the compounding moral debts of our ancestors, America will never be whole.
Yes, that is indeed the case for reparations. Brothers and sisters, allies and others, thank you for joining our Reparations 101 political education briefing.
Join the movement.
The movement for
reparations
reparations
now.
All right. Well, we believe in utilizing our youth, and I think our youth did a excellent job there. I didn't want to do another take, though we could have tried another take, but I think it's good enough for what our purposes are. So yes, I saw some people put in the chat. Please put in the chat whether you feel it should be in the 10 minutes before the meeting or in the 10 minutes after the meeting. I think someone put it in both times, but I mean, so okay, it is time for open mic, folks. Yes, open mic where we're going to share updates, where we're going to have, if there's any Q&A, if there are any announcements. Now is the time. Again, names and faces. We don't always go around and say who we all are, because it just takes up a lot of time. So I really ask you, if this is your first RMMM, Reparations Movement Monthly Meetup, to put a great big new by your name in the chat. And unfortunately, I don't always get a chance to see the chat contemporaneously, but put that new up there. And if you're making an update or Q&A or an announcement, let us know that you're new as well. So who wants to be first? Just raise that that reaction hand. Hopefully I will see it. So for you, I don't see any. And while I'm waiting to see one, since I don't see one, I'm going to do the first announcement. No, I do see one, so I will hold off. Kamal Kenyatta, my brother, historian. Yes. Let us know who you are, where you're calling from, if you have an organization, and what your update, Q&A, or announcement is. And let me do this. And if you all are in speaker view, I'm highlighting the person who's speaking. Professor Kenyatta, yes.
Good evening, everyone, and Sister Taifa. This is unfortunately my first time getting here because I always have a conflict at this time, but today I kind of shrugged on responsibility of something else that I had to do. I'm like, I'm gonna get here tonight.
Well, you're new. All right, thanks for joining.
Yes. My name is Kamal Kenyatta. I'm a professor of African American Studies for almost 25 years now at various universities and colleges. Right now, I'm in between Lehigh University and Northampton Community College, which is right up the street from me. And I'm an author. My ex-wife and I wrote the book back in the 90s, and we've redone it several times. It's called Black Folks' Hair, Secrets, Shame, and Liberation. And my latest book is The White People's Show, How to Understand Racism and Still Be Wrong About It. In terms of the reparation movement, I have over the years, and I think I told Sister Taifa this a while back, I feel almost bad that I did not vote as much time in my classes as I should have, given the limitations of the time that we have to cover like 10,000 years of history. Mm-hmm. And so you're trying to get as much as you can in there. But since that, this year and last year, I've incorporated a lot more about it. In fact, I've gotten more enraged about it as I think about what happened with Israel and the Japanese and others, where reparations were paid, and we're still left out in the cold, so to speak. Mm-hmm.
So do you have a question or comment or update for us?
No, I don't. I would just like to applaud you for carrying the banner, and those are the others on here whom I don't know. I'm thankful that you and the rest of everyone on the call is carrying this banner. And I am actually doing a piece with my children and my grandchildren about it to kind of pass the baton, because it's not something that you hear about unless you are in. I remember when I used to read the Final Call, they used to always have something. Well, I should say when I used to, years ago, they had a lot. They would often have a lot in there. That paper is not as easy to get as it used to be. So I'm doing that with my family members, and I want to do some with my children in particular, but then my brothers and my other relatives, when we have get-togethers, it's going to be a part of the get-together.
So my brother, let me just say this. First of all, thank you for joining, and we really look forward to your upcoming book, The White People's Show, I know I had the opportunity to see a earlier draft of it, so anxiously waiting for that to come out. Thank you for joining and being part of the reparations movement. There are a lot of organizations that are represented on these screens here. And again, this is a time for take a look in the chat to see what's there and stay connected. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. And I'm going to call on this brother now because I'm not sure what time it is where he is. You know, I think he's somewhere in another time zone. I don't even really know quite how to pronounce his name, but we've been meaning to connect for ages. We have something scheduled on the book. So, Brother Sifiwe Baleka of the Balanka, go and talk to us, brother. Let me do you a little spotlight here. And I don't know what time it is where you are. There you go. But talk to us.
Abene Inkichi. Abene Binhamne Yo Wule. I just said, thank you, wise ancestors of the past, in my ancestral language of Balanta. I am calling from my ancestral homeland here in Guinea-Bissau, proving that we can recover from state-sanctioned ethnocide. We can find out where we came, because of technology, we can find out exactly where we came from and which one of our ancestors survived that Middle Passage. We can learn our tongues, our languages that were taken from us, and we can reclaim our homelands. So I'm leading by example, proving that it can be done with the tools that we have now. I just have 3 quick updates. I know many of the people on the call, I wear several hats. My first update is about the petition that I filed at the Inter-American Commission for Human Rights, charging the United States with state-sanctioned ethnocide. It's the first petition of its kind. It was filed January 23rd. Brother Maynard, who's on this Zoom call, helped me with it. We are now in that international forum, waiting for the court's response on whether they're going to accept the petition and examine it. They do that on a first come, first served basis. There has been some media attention about it. It's a landmark case, and I will drop a link in the chat to that case. The second update is that I have been in the forefront working with various activists and organizations to bring our case as prisoners of war under the Geneva Convention, our status under international law before the International Court of Justice. As a result of the newly formed United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, they have within their mandate the ability to request advisory opinions from the International Court of Justice. This is exactly what Amari Obadeli and Malcolm X wanted to do, but during their time, a nation state had to initiate cases. Because of this permanent forum and their mandate, for the first time, we have the opportunity to engage the court without requiring a nation state to file a case on our behalf. What we're asking them to do is to give an opinion on the fact that Pope Nicholas V issued the Dum Diversus Papal Bull Declaration declaring what in international law is called total war, which have no statutes of limitations. As a result of that declaration, monopoly contracts were given in succession to the various slave trading European states and some private enterprises, which means that every single person captured in what's called the transatlantic slave trade was captured in a declared war. Under the Geneva Convention, it says that people remain in that status until their final release and repatriation. Therefore, if the International Court of Justice reviews this and advises that, yes, it was in fact a declared war, and since there has not been any negotiated repatriation, that our status under international law is prisoners of war. That would then obligate...
Wait a minute, hold on. What I want to say is we need to do a whole reparation thought series on this issue, because first of all, this issue is very near and dear to my heart. I don't know where your spotlight went. Wait a minute. Let me.
That's because you're
make
talking.
this Oh, it's because I'm talking. Okay, whatever. Yeah. So just make the announcement when we made. We're going to schedule something so that we can really go deep. This isn't the time really to go deep. Okay.
Okay.
This is boom, boom, boom. But because
Just-
there's a lot of information there. And let's just
Okay.
tease that out in when we have one of our thought series. So yeah.
Just to say that the deadline for signing that mandate is March the 31st. We will be delivering it to the Permanent Forum on April 2nd, which gives them 2 months before they come to New York at the United Nations to take action on it. So I'll drop that link in the chat as well. And then the third announcement is that I happen to be serving as the coordinator for the 8th Pan-African Congress that was called by Her Excellency Ambassador Ericana Chihombori Kwao. At this point, we have over 900 delegates from 65 countries that will be traveling to Harare, Zimbabwe later this year, most likely in June. The dates haven't been entirely set. So anybody that wants information on that, the main issue of the agenda is the repatriation component of reparations. So that's my 3 updates. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. And I look forward to when we get to connect, my brother. Yes. Okay. I don't see any more hands raised. So while we're waiting for a hand, let me just make announcement that I have. If I can find it. Here we go. So yes, I had mentioned with Brother Safif that we are starting a reparation information thought series, the reparation education project, of which I direct, and the National Black Cultural Information Trust. We are co-sponsoring this. The first in the series is this Thursday. It is in the chat, and if Mama Aforo can put it back in, if it's I'm not looking at the chat right now, but it's called the Weaponization of Race and Reparations and How to Combat It. Speakers at this webinar will be attorney Adjoa Ayatoro, and she is on this MeetUp right now. She's professor emeritus at the University of Arkansas, William Bowen School of Law, and she was the first, I think, national director up in COBRA way back in the day. Professor Jeffrey Robinson, who's the executive director of the Who We Are Project. Who We Are started out as a, well, actually it's a film now. The Who We Are Chronicle of Race in America, and is absolutely excellent. Lisa Holder, president of the Equal Justice Society, and she is the commissioner on the California Reparations Task Force. She will be joining hopefully later in the program, because that day, March the 30th, this Thursday, is one of the days of the commission hearing the California Reparations Task Force, and the time kind of overlaps, so she will try to join us. And of course, Jessica Ann Mitchell Awuwar, Executive Director of the National Black Cultural Information Trust, and myself, Reparation Education Project. So you can register at mbcit.org. It's in the chat. You can just click on that. Let me just see if I see any hands. Oh, I see Aziza, a hand. Oh my goodness. Aziza Robinson, good night. Let me just find you in. Let me take myself off. Wait a minute. Hold on one second.
You don't have to take yourself off, because I'm gonna keep my screen dark.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's all good. Good to talk to you, my sister. She's in Boston. Let us know what's, hopefully you're going to give us an update, and think this is your first meetup. So talk to us, Aziza.
Yes, this is my first meetup. Thank you, Nkechi. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy to be here. So in Boston, we are moving and shaking. In 2022, we got a unanimous vote for an apology from our city council. And also we got a unanimous vote to form a task force as well. The grassroots organizers, I am not on the task force, but that's okay because I am still pushing the needles with grassroots organizers. We have formed a collective of young people called the Revolutionaries that are also like fired up about reparations, and they're really excited. We are working with our Senator Miranda. She got a bill on the floor for a statewide task force. We also have Representative Fluker Oakley, who put a placeholder bill on the floor before the last day to do that. So we're really excited about that. We brought our young people to the State House last week to advocate for the writing. We spent over 10 hours multi-generational collectively writing amendments for that bill that Rep. Miranda had put on the floor because it was written last minute and there were amendments that needs to be done. So our young people went around to about 6 legislators and advocated for that bill. So we're super excited about that. This summer, our grassroots organizers are launching a consciousness campaign. Boston is a small city, but we're trying to create a catalyst for statewide grassroots organizing, just like sharing information such as what is reparations on palm cards, also what is an American freedman. We are serious about organizing around our American freedmen and centering descendant communities. And so we will be tabling at multiple events this summer. We will be at 3 parades with our group, just getting the word out, passing out palm cards, just really raising the consciousness on the ground in Boston so that we can be a catalyst city and push the needle from our small major city. And we're excited. Hopefully we'll have Nkechi with us in Boston. We are reaching out to a bookstore to see if we can host her next week, even a small group. We are going to stream it live regardless so that we'll have as many viewers as possible. And that is some of the updates for Boston.
My sister, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm going to be up in that area next week. Or it's a weekend somewhere soon. So hopefully we can hook something up, and thanks for joining. And may I please say something about your father?
No problem.
Okay. Because when I met you in Evanston, I said, well, that name sounds familiar. Your father is the famous Paul Goodnight. Okay. We're talking about artist extraordinaire. So I just wanted to lift that up, and like your dad, you're extraordinaire as well. So again, welcome. Do I have another hand? And I'm trying to get us off of, y'all know I don't do this well.
Also, I'll be in the Washington Post in the next week or two.
Okay.
The gentleman that was in Evanston, he reached out to me multiple times because of what's going on in Boston. So he chose to do a piece on the lineage of my family that's been in Boston since the 1940s. In my reparations.
Okay, great. Well, make sure we see that and we'll send that around. We have a few minutes left, so I'm going to share something. If the hand raises up, we can go on and share that. But I mention this sometimes because I think it's just so phenomenal. I got this from the Community Healing Network, and it's called Ancestral Mathematics. Okay, and every time I see that word mathematics, I kind of freeze up, but this is ancestral mathematics. Okay, let's listen. In order to be born, you needed 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 second great-grandparents, 32 third great-grandparents, 64 fourth great-grandparents, 128 fifth great-grandparents, 256 sixth great-grandparents, 512 seventh great-grandparents, 1,024 eighth great-grandparents, 2,048 ninth great-grandparents. For you to be born today, my brothers and sisters, from 12 previous generations. You needed a total of 4,094 ancestors over the last 400 years. Think for a moment. Just think for a moment. How many struggles? How many battles? How many difficulties? How much sadness? How much happiness? How many love stories? How many expressions of hope for the future did your ancestors have to undergo for you and me and us to exist in this day, at this time, in this present moment? Woo! Ancestral mathematics. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, go back to gallery view. Okay, I don't know if there are any new people who want to just say who you are new before we close out. This is a first, closing out early. We do believe in starting on time and we're ending on time. Perhaps somebody can tell me something from the chat about whether the preference was for the Reparations one-on-one political education briefing PowerPoint to be shown before the meeting or after the meeting, meaning telling people within your organizations or new people you want to introduce to Reparations that that they can come on 10 minutes earlier and hear a briefing, or stay 10 minutes later. What do you think? Somebody tell me what was the sense in the chat. It's hard for me to go through the chat while I'm, before or after. What you think? Or, I mean, hell, or not at all. I'm not trying to be, yeah.
I think that there was support for both.
You mean to do it both before and after? Or
Yes.
either or?
Either
Well.
or. Either or.
Okay.
And both.
Well, this is my next question. Will you tell people who are new to the movement, basically, who are interested in just a basic grassroots type briefing? This isn't a polished, thing that, I had money, really resources to put together, but just a basic briefing. Let me just see a show of hands. Yes or no? Will you tell people? Because that means I got to be there 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after. I'm usually there 10 minutes before anyway, because we always play music beforehand. So I can do that, but I don't want to be sitting there by myself. And there's no need for folk who know all of this to be there all the time. But tell family members, that around that dinner table. I see allies here on this call. Y'all know what it's like around the Thanksgiving dinner table and at Christmas time, or whatever the other holidays, that folk celebrate. Everybody isn't of the same mind with respect to this issue of reparations. Well, maybe tell them to come and look at the Reparation one-on-one political education briefing. Bring their questions. Is there a link to the video? Okay, so I probably will put it up on my website. You all were my, I hate this word, guinea pigs or whatever. So I probably will put it up on the website. Yeah, sounds good. So does anybody want to introduce themselves? We have about 2 minutes left. Who is new? Who wants to just say, I know Kamal Kenyatta has already done that. Aziza Goodnight has done that. And Sififwe, our brother from Guinea-Bissau. Wow, it's all new people. I love that. All new people who made announcements or gave an update and the like. Love it. So anybody else new want to let us know who you are while you join? Joni, I've never seen you in RMMM before. See you here. No, because is with because I'm sorry, because with Liberation Ventures. You all should have an announcement. It was a big announcement that do you want to say what your announcement is?
Yeah, happy to share. Hi everyone, Vikas with Liberation Ventures. One big announcement today. We announced, just for folks who may not know us, we are a organization that's supporting the reparations movement kind of as a field builder. Our goal is just accelerate the work that all of the fantastic groups that are doing this work are already doing. So today, part of what we do is fundraise from larger foundations and individuals and re-grant that money out to groups in the movement. And today we announced our second round of grant making of $2.2 million to 31 groups in the reparations movement, including Reparations Education Project. So I can include a link in the chat and some of our socials, but we're really excited. There's so many, I mean, truly amazing groups that are doing this work. So wanted to share.
Thank you so very much, Vikas. And yes, put the link on there so that people can see the groups that you're supporting in this very important and excellent work. And I think I see Watela's hand. So Watela, I'll let you be the last person to make an announcement or provide an update.
Thank you.
And the
Thank
like. Let me try to bring you up.
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, I don't see the spotlight thing. No, I can't. Talk again so we can hear you.
Sure, look, my camera's off.
Oh, that's why I can't see you. Okay.
Thank you for having this. This is very important, and I gained a lot from it. I want to say that the video, I agree with the video being in the beginning. Maybe you can split the time. 5 minutes before, maybe run into 5 minutes into the beginning of the program, but definitely in the beginnings so that everyone have a chance to listen to it. Also, I want to make a quick announcement and to remind people that NCOBRA is having its national conference June the 22nd and through the 25th in Richmond, California. Please come out and join. As you know, NCOBRA is a coalition. We're about unity and working with other organizations. We would like for your organization, everyone is here if possible, join NCOBRA and help us build the type of united front that this movement needs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much, Watela. And Brother Yal, if you can go on and put on our closing. I thank everyone for joining the last Tuesday of each month. We have Reparations Movement Monthly Meetup, not a meeting, not a strategy session, but simply a space for us to put names to faces, share information, education, and collaboration.
It's time. It's time. It's time. I know it's time. The generation for reparation. Pay up, time to pay up. Reparation. Right now, reparation is really ours, you know. Pay
time for reparations payout. Thank you everyone for joining the March Reparation Movement Monthly Meetup. We're going to sign off. Actually, I got another meeting after this, so I'm not going to stay on board and chit chat this time. But again, yeah, I will look at these words: blacktastic, magnificent. What else I see? Inspired. I saw inspired, informed, inspired, a lot of inspires, grateful, motivated, enthusiastic. All right. Thank you, y'all. I'm gonna count down to 10.
Oh no.
I know. We never can say goodbye. I do want to thank my team, Baba Yao, Sister Aforwa, Mama Kabibi. Thank you so very much for the support that you give to the Reparation Education Project. So I'm going to count down to from 10 to 1. And when I hit 1, I'm going to hit the end button. But love you all. 10.
Please
9.
let us know the next meeting is April 25th.
Okay, I don't even know. If that's the last Tuesday, the next meeting is April 25th. That's the last Tuesday, right, folks? Anyone who registered will get a reminder. So in order to get the reminder, you have to register. I mean, people can share the registration all like that, but if you want to personally get the reminders and be part of the listserv, make sure that you register. Also, I used to send out the tape to it. It just got too onerous, but if anybody wants the tape to the session, I can send you the tape. Not a problem. Just ask. Okay. Love you all. Oh, come on now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Ashe.
Ashe, ashe, ashe.